If you guys have, okay, good. All right, so let us begin. So it's been a while, but I think last time we went over some of the dimensional prefixes and we did some of the modal prefixes. So the he and the bara, so how to say he shouldn't do that or he should do that, I wish he did that. Today we're going to expand on those concepts. However, before doing that, we're going to learn about the last two dimensional prefixes. So in case you forgot, a dimensional prefix is a indication of dimensions of grammatical case inside of the verb. So locative, commutative, yada yada. So you know what I'm referring to, right? I hope so. And we have not seen, well, the ones left to be seen are, well, the locative and the directive. So without further ado, let's dive into them. Okay, so let's start with the locative. So we know that the locative case is a, so it ends with a, and the directive is e. However, they look very different inside of the verb. The locative dimensional prefix is actually ni, and it becomes just n if it comes right before the verb. So it's ni if before the verb you have a personal affix like n, b, or e. So you have ni, something, and then the verb. Or if you have just the verb and the locative dimensional prefix, then it's just n. But let's just see that on paper. So we have this sentence, lut ea dumuni muningas. Okay. So, lutu, men. We know that u is a very strong vowel. So in case it's an ergative, in case it's a transitive subject, we should have a e of the ergative, which is not written. And then we have a2, which means again temple, a, which is the locative. So we know they use the locative in the sentence. Maybe there's a chance it's going to get passed over into the verb as a dimensional prefix. Dumuni, his son. And then we have a long verb. So far we have the man in the temple, his son. And then the verb here is gats to kill. So let's go bit by bit. Mu, sorry, gats, the verb. Mu, the conjugation prefix. Then what do we have? We have a in, so the n here is the third person singular in the hamtu. And then we have ni, which is the locative, so which refers back to in the temple. So let's see it here. Lu e, the man, ea, in the temple, his son, the muani, mu, oops, mu, ni, locative, there, n, third person singular, subject, transitive, gods, verb. So we have something again between the dimensional prefix and the verb, which is the n, so it looks like ni. Instead, in the following sentence, we have lu tu, the man, ea, in the temple, ba an gats. So this is tricky. Let's go element by element. Lu tu, the man, ea, in the temple, and then we have ba an gats. So again, the verb is gats. Then we have ba, which we know is usually can be the passive. So with the passive, do you use the n, so the personal affixes? No, you don't, because they are only used for active verbs. So the n here cannot be a third person singular kind of marker. It has to be something else. And in this case, it happens to be the n of the locative. So if we were to just translate the verb, we would have killed, the N, the locative, so there, ba. So he was killed there. So the man was killed there. And because there's nothing between the verb and the the locative here, it looks like N, and there is no E. So not ni, just N. All right, and that wraps it, I think.
Gabriel, I had two questions. Can I?
Sure.
Yeah, see, the first question is, can we see one example of a first person singular? We have seen the third person singular right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
and any example of plural, either first or third person plural. These two questions I have,
sure. Okay, let's do it
if
like
possible.
this.
Yeah,
It
thank you.
sure is. I did not include them in the presentation, but I think what we can do is we can look at them at the end of the lesson.
Sure, thank you.
No problem. We're just going to reiterate back, and I'm going to open up a file on Google Documents, maybe, and I'll just change the sentences a little bit to fit them with other grammatical persons. Thank you for the question. I'll come back to
And
you.
sorry for bothering so much.
Oh, no problem. My pleasure.
Hey,
All right.
Gabriele, had a
Sure.
question.
What's up?
The grammar is clear, makes sense.
Okay.
But could you help me parse the cuneiform?
Sure.
I see dumuni. Oh, let's start from the second sentence from the bottom. So I
Yes.
see the lu, I see the missing a, I see the ea, I see the dumu, I see the little, yeah, there's the dumu and the ni. That's a mu, isn't it? So that should be a
Yes.
mu.
Oh, there's some space between the mu and the un. That's
What's after the mu?
this.
Big thing.
It's the un.
Oh, okay. I think that's missing in the trans. Oh, I should have looked on top. I was looking on the right. I got you. Okay.
Let's take a closer look at it. This is a good question. So why is there a un between the mu and the ni? It's because it kind of acts as I wouldn't know how to call it. It relates the mu with the ni. So it's the last vowel of the conjugation prefix and the beginning consonant of the dimensional prefix. That's why it's there. Sometimes they put it, sometimes they don't. When they don't, it's clearer, I guess. But I put it because, well, now you know it's better pointing it out than not pointing it out and just finding it. And yeah, the un is actually very long. It looks like this. It's pretty lengthy. And it looks like two signs together, maybe a sa plus a little something. Then we have the ni, the in, which is basically a ni plus a lot of things, and the guts.
Oh, you're right. It is a need plus a lot of things. I never thought of it that way. Okay. Very cool. Thank you.
No problem. All right.
That was helpful.
Hello there.
Hey, Chuck.
Yeah, but, I had that same question. That was very helpful.
Oh, about the un, good thing that you pointed out. Thank you. So I think I can start maybe putting at the end of the lesson some cuneiform kind of characters to learn. That would be useful, I think. Compile kind of a list. So a lot of good questions today. All right.
Yeah, that real fast. I think that would be very satisfactory. The reason I say that is because in another class I made that point to the instructor that she because we did spend a lot of time with transliteration, but I, it almost other than just some of these signs here, we never really got into the actual cuneiform itself.
The thing is, cuneiform is kind of a word on its own, and I think we could dedicate maybe 1 or 2 classes on it in the intermediate course. But I'll start compiling charts with cuneiform. I guess that would be a good resolution for now. So thank you guys for the questions. All right. So this was the locative. So in, at. Now we have the locative directive. So by, close to, on, about, around. the funny locative, the not real locative. So it's the same thing, except instead of the N, you have a B. So it's instead of being ni, it's B, and it works exactly in the same way. So when it comes before a prefix, it's B. When it comes before the verb, it's just B, like this. That's it in action, and it's B2 infinitum. So Lu, the man again. Kigalle, Kigal means the platform, the dais of the temple. Ninda, bread. Ibingar, the ngar, to, let's say it here, ngar, to place. Then we have I. We know that to be the what's it called? A conjugation prefix, just like mu. Then we have B. Now, what is the B referring to? Well, to the E in Kigal, so on the platform. I'm having a hard time clicking things here. So the man placed the bread on the platform. The N here, the in, so the N is of course the third person singular, and that's why the directive dimensional prefix here looks like B.
You can start also the sentence. Sometimes you can start with B. You don't
Yes.
always have E in front of B too. Sometimes you have B2 and it starts.
We have it in the next slide. I was gonna say that.
Sorry.
I found you very much prepared.
I had the exam, so that's why. Sorry.
Oh, you had to know it. Well, then I wagered the exam went really well. All right. So the same question, sorry, the same answer here is, oh God, the same phrase here in the passive is ninda, so bread, kigalle, on the platform, ba abgar. So what changes here? There is no more B, but rather just B. God, this sounds weird. No B, no BI. Let's call it like that. But just B, because it goes right before the verb. So the bread, ninda, on the platform was placed. Same thing as the locative, just with the B or BI by occasion. And as Laura just mentioned, sometimes when you have E, so the conjugation prefix here before B, it disappears. So you only have B. Now, there's different theories. Some argue that B acts as a conjugation prefix of its own. Some say it's not there. E just disappears. It's just not written, maybe pronounced, maybe not. I do not know, and I don't think anyone has a definitive answer. So we're just gonna say it tends to disappear in the writing. So this is the exact same sentence. Kigale on the platform. Bi ingar, he placed it. So again, no E before B2. Don't panic when that happens. It's there. It's just you can't see it, but it's there. And sometimes we also have this seldom occurrence where EB is written in me. Now there's more theories about that. About maybe a mu being in between the E and the B, or a da. Now, I think that's one of the things we might come back to in the intermediate course. But sometimes EB, at least for now, this is how we understand it, can be written as immi. Immi.
Yeah.
And it's not the only case, so we'll see them again in the following lessons. So this is again the very same sentence, just with kigale, so on the platform. Immi ingar, so he placed it on the platform. Immi ingar. And I think that wraps it up.
I'm sorry, can you go back to the previous page?
Sure. This one?
No, the one before.
This one?
Here, yes. Can we parse the cuneiform in this sentence, the lu, ki, gale, ninda?
Sure.
I see the lu, the ki, gale.
Okay. Again, I'm having a hard time clicking here, but I think you can zoom in. Okay. So lu, this is lu.
Mhm.
Igal,
Mhm.
this would be the le.
Yep.
You get very lengthy character.
Mhm.
Ninda, so bread.
Yep.
Actually, Ninda is the same character as Ngar too. So they look exactly the same. E3, then B. Oh, I see what you mean. The in is missing. That's
Yeah.
why. Okay,
That's what threw
okay.
me.
Yeah, the thing about cuneiform is that it's very hard to type it on a computer because there's no keyboard for it, so I have to go
Yeah.
back and forth. I
And that would be a
apologize.
big keyboard.
It's the same sign. Ning, Ning, it's Ning. Ninda is Ning, is the same sign. Ognya, Ya, is the same.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay.
There's actually a variant of it with a thing before it. So it's kind of, I mean, let's see, wonder why is that? Ninda, Ning, we see some similarities in the pronunciation. So it's probably because of that. But the thing is, some people argue that all monosyllabic words in Sumerian are of autochthonous Sumerian origin, and polysyllabic words come from other languages. So Ninda is again 2 syllables. So the word for bread might be a word coming from another language, a substrate in times of old, long lost, before probably the invention of writing or about. So that's a very interesting theory.
Yep, that's right.
Thanks for the questions and the remarks. Okay. Do this. Okay. All right. So this should be modal prefixes. Okay. There's always that mistake. I forget to change it every time. So let's talk about modal prefixes now. So we saw some of them. Now in this lesson, I think we conclude them. So after this, there will be no more modal prefixes. So we're going to see the cohortative. So what is that? It's basically how you say in the first person, I will, I shall, I am going to. How do you express a wish or an intention in the first person? It's very simple. Most of the time it looks like ga. So it's just ga. And it comes again at the beginning, and it's always in the hamtu. So to go is again in the hamtu. I shall go would be nga again. I shall go with him, ga nda, with him again. Let's see the cuneiform again. Ga an nda again. All right. Instead, we shall write to you. Here we have an example in the first person plural. So, nga, shall, ra, to you, tar, write, mended. Ooh, what did I do? There you go. And the whole thing, this is very simple and very plain, I would say. This is negated by bara, just like the other ones. So it's always bara negating things. Again, bara. We will not. So same sentences, just with bara. I shall not go with him. We shall not write to you. Very simple. Then the prospective. Now, instead, this is one of the hardest, if not the hardest to understand. It's written U, so U3 in cuneiform, and it serves a twofold purpose. It can be used as a polite imperative, kind of like saying please in English. It means after you have done something. So would you please do that? So we have, for example, U na dug. Please tell him. U3. So please. Na to him. Now here it's not written, but we have a second person e, which is not written because we have a vowel here. So in the writing it gets elided. I think it should be here. Probably forgot to add it. Dug, to say. So please say to him. This expression is it occurs very often in letters. So when we become a reading group, we'll see tons of that. However, the preponderant, the most used purpose, the main one, would be to signify that the action described by the verb comes before another verb. So in this case, I think it's fair to translate it as not please, but after. So let's see the following sentence. Lugal, king, ergative, to, the temple, undu, a, mu ubku. All right. So let's go bit by bit. So Lugal, the king, temple, no case, so it's probably the object. Undu, so do 3 is to build. The n is the third person singular. Is after. So altogether, after the king built the temple, ea in the temple, mu ubku, he entered. So mu, then we have the directive, and then the ku, to enter. So yeah, this is the main purpose, again, of the prospective polite imperative or preceding action. All right. So I think this is not the last one. We have 2 left. We have just talked about the polite imperative. Now we're going to talk about how to say do not do. So negative imperative, a negative command. How do you do a negative command? And a negative command applies for the second person singular and plural. By the way, you add the prefix na. Oh wow, I did underline everything. Na, which looks like this. It's kind of like key, but it's got a tail. So, and you always use it in the modal. That's the thing. So in the present future, imperfective. So to temple. Na do not build. Temple. Na do not build. And since this is the imperfective, we have different prefixes and suffixes. So in this case, the second person singular is n. So n, which becomes after the u. So do not build. Now, this is a very lengthy one. Tiba. Napkurenzen. So ki means place. Ba, so which become ba together. So in that place. Na, do not. To be is the directive here, which becomes basically interchangeable with the locative. Ku, to enter. Renzen, just ends, and the R is actually part of the verb. So you, second person plural, do not enter in that place. Do not enter there. I don't know. Do not go there. So again, you just put it at the beginning of the sentence and it forms a negative imperative. Now, the thing is, na is not only used for that. There's more than that. You also use it to form an affirmative sentence, an affirmative period. Now we have already seen an affirmative kind of modal prefix, which was he. This one is similar, but it is difficult to describe. How did I put it? It is often used to remark a fact that has occurred in the past, while still being relevant in the present. So it's more Oleg. You hear a lot of it in tales, and yeah. So it's similar to he in a sense. Thing is, it's easy to confuse it with this. But again, this only appears in the second person and in the imperfective. And the other one, the affirmative, only in the perfective. Only in the perfective. And with mostly the third person. So, itu nadu. The temple was really built. Was really built. Very simple. U, in this case, U4 means tempest. Nadu. Do 8, which looks very weird and it doesn't apply. Doesn't change its font to the other one for some reason. Means to be infuriating, be strong. So the tempest was very infuriating. So yeah, it's not hard. I mean, it's not hard. I mean, it's not easy to confuse it with the negative imperative, because what else could it mean? Do not infuriate the tempest does not make a lot of sense. Plus, you do not have the second person singular nor plural kind of suffix, so it doesn't really apply. And yeah, I think that's all there is to it. And we have concluded the modal prefixes. That was it. Now, going on. And I think this is the last thing we're going to touch today. Okay, I forgot to change the title. The imperative, that is. So the imperative is actually very easy. Again, this is the negative imperative, which is marked by na. But if you have to do a affirmative imperative, you just take the verb and you write either u or a after it. And that's rarely e. No, oh, it's capital. But mostly just u or a interchangeably, supposedly. So ngen, to go, becomes ngena or ngenu, go. Now we're going to see more of that in the next lesson, but take this as a hint, I guess, as a early mention of the imperative. And I think that wraps it up. So we have, this is again our progress. I usually put it at the end of lessons now. We have seen all the dimensional prefixes, all of the modal prefixes. We have seen the relative clauses and the imperative. Now it's just a matter of doing what is left, and then we have a couple lessons left to expand on some more concepts. But this, I would say, wraps it up. And we can now stop the recording, and informally, I guess, we can look at a couple sentences in the plural like it was requested.